What it do, babies? Welcome back to my channel. So today I'm back with another video of our new segment. Okay. So we're back with another episode of our segment. I have another special guest today. He's going to tell you all about him and everything that he does, and I'm going to ask him all the questions, everything that you guys want to know. So before I waste your time, if you're interested, just keep on watching and let's get started. Please introduce yourself and tell all of us who you are, what it is that you do, and what it is.
So who I am. I am is my name is Tebogo and my surname is Soodisa. I'm a speech therapist and audiologist by qualification. Recently qualified from SMU, of course.
The best university in South Africa.
Hello. The only one. Just so you know. And so basically what speech therapy and audiology is about is actually two professional, professions in one, mixed together. And it's something that you would find most universities now have actually divided. So you need to speech therapy and then
or you do audiology. Okay.
Whereas the SMU, you can still qualify as both, which is what I am. And basically what speech therapy is about is that speech therapy just deals with any language, speech, communication or feeding disorders.
Okay.
So if you have, for example, and the good thing of it is that you actually deal with babies and old people. So it's not just that thing of, you only focus on
one.
So I think one of the things that you would do is when you're working with babies, say for example, a baby that was born with a language delay, baby reaches 3 years, they still can't speak. Speech therapy comes in. We come in, we assess the baby, and you just see, okay, what's this baby at with, or they're functioning at when what could be
the problem.
Or with a baby that has a syndrome like Down syndrome or autism spectrum disorders. We actually work quite closely with those kids. We do that.
You help them to communicate, like, okay.
With the feeding, with the communication, helping the parents how to facilitate the communication and dealing with the various.
So you deal with not just the patient, you would also deal with the family to be like, okay guys, your child has autism, so in order to communicate effectively you need to do 1, 2, 3. Okay.
Because with kids it's not going to be that thing of you do a whole lot of direct therapy with them.
Yes.
If it's a kid that can't sit still, you must try and bring them and just show the parents what to do when they're
to get them to sit still or to
Exactly. Because there's also that thing of you're going to see them in one session and that's it. For the rest of the month they're at home with the parents or with whoever's there. So they need to know how to communicate. They need to know how to initiate a whole lot of things. They need to know how to, get them into a routine, into a schedule, such things.
Okay.
Yeah.
What are the requirements to get into speech and audiology from high school? So like subjects, marks that I need to get. Do I have to do any sports, any cultural activities? Are those things considered?
Nah, so extramural activities are not particularly considered. Because you'd be so busy at times you just forget to actually be
doing other things
outside your course bed. I think it's just like the basic stuff like mathematics, life science, physics, English, and the other subjects like your LO and another subjects. But mostly they would just tell you maths, physics, life science. Those would be the major ones. With like I think a minimum of a level 4, and then you have your languages. They'll take them around there as well, and then the other 2 subjects. But you have like your geography. It helps you as well to come in that. The good thing with as much as you don't want to do much physics,
you just need to know
you
those.
need to know it, and
And what level? What are the marks?
So the marks, it's I think your APS, it's about 26 something. I can't remember. It's been so long, but it's somewhere around there because you need 3 4s with maths, physics, and life science minimum. That's like 4, 8, 12. Then you've got like 6 here. That gives you 18.
Sorry.
Level 4.
What's the percentage? 50%, 60%, 70%?
Percentage?
I don't know.
Why it's been long
70,
since
60, 70.
I think
But also, like we said in all the previous things that I've said, guys, never aim for the minimum. Yes, we put the minimum requirements there, but they take how many at SMU? Maybe in first year?
30?
Less than 30. So if you want to be part of that 30, imagine how many people are applying. So if there's 100, they're only going to take 30%. So you need to be part of the top 30%. You can't aim for the minimum and expect to get in, as we've been saying. Again, how many years of study is your degree, and are there any additional years? So do you have to do like internship or community service, something like that?
Well, so it's a 4-year degree, 4 years straight up. And once you're done with your 4 years, you go into community service. So you only do 1 year community service.
Only 1 year.
Only 1 year. And after that, you're qualified to practice independently.
Oh,
and then
cool.
you can work anywhere.
Okay.
Anywhere.
When you say anywhere, can you work in a hospital? Can you open your own practice? Can you work like with special companies or something?
That's the beautiful thing. You legit like can work. Say for example, if you're an audiologist, you can work at a hospital. You can work at a school. So school for kids with, for example, hearing or deaf kids. Let's just say school for deaf kids. You work there. A school with kids with special needs. You can work at a mine. You can open your own private practice. If you're a speech therapist, almost the same. You can have your own private practice. You can work at a hospital, at a school. Basically, anywhere.
So when you say speech therapist and audiologist, you said you guys do them together, right? So is there a point where you have to specialize and choose one, or can you just carry on in your whole career working as both?
You actually can. You can work as, just continue as both a speech therapist and an audiologist. Or you can still carry, say for example, carry the other skill that, move more to specialize
towards
one skill, so that it's like you most, on a specialist in this area of practice, because it's quite vast. So say for example, with speech therapy, you would work, so we have what we call dysphagia, we have what we call communication, we have what we call, speech. So they're quite different, because dysphagia has to do with feeling. So you may find that you only want to deal with any and every case that has to do with feeling. Or maybe people that just have speech problems, like your dysarthria, your stuttering, aphasia, somebody who's...
And then you specialize in that specifically.
Exactly.
Okay, then you wouldn't want to, but you wouldn't usually see patients with feeding problems because you decided to go that way.
Exactly.
Okay, guys, I'm bringing you content. Guys, I just feel like you guys need to see what I'm doing for you guys. Thanks. And what do you guys actually do versus maybe what you've heard other people say that you do? Like maybe you've heard something that's super crazy and you're just like, what?
Oh, that's actually a good and interesting one. I don't know how many years I've had to deal with that or hear that. Where when you just say, what is studying? Speech therapy. Huh? So you guys teach people to talk. Well, not to say. I just went to a point of saying, wait, do you guys like teach people how to say speeches? I was like, wow, really? Like, you just had to go.
We don't know.
That's true, but that was the fun thing. Like the minute you found people like, oh, you guys deal with, you teach people how, like, well, not quite. Because what we do is, if say for example you have an adult that maybe got a stroke, now they can't talk, they can't understand what you're saying, or such things. We come in and we just initiate some strategies to help them regain that, to help reteach the brain the things that
Okay.
With a baby, you just expose them to language. If, for example, it's a baby that was born without hearing, the audio part comes in. They do the test, assess, and then give hearing aids.
So you guys don't just give speeches?
No.
You don't just teach people.
Don't give speeches.
You don't just teach people how to talk.
One thing I'll tell you, speech therapists do not like talking. Most of in front of people.
Seriously?
They do not.
So then how do you do your job?
You do it in front, like just you and your patient.
Oh, you don't like talking like in a group of people?
Unless you you're specializing and you want the confidence, like, okay, now I'm gonna present on this area. But one thing I've had with most of the speech therapists I've met this year, oh my Lord, they will tell you I'm so scared. So beyond just the strokes, the traumatic brain injuries, we actually get involved with laryngeal cancers.
Yes.
They remove the larynx.
So you need to reteach all of that.
Yeah. So not particularly reteach, but what we do is that few options with that. So you teach them how to use what we call esophageal voice, so to speak using that, or how to put a finger around the stomach, so there's like a hole, and they will talk through that.
Okay.
Or they will just use a machine where they just put it somewhere here where they found the best place, and that actually talks. So you find they have they talk like a robot. My name is. That thing gives voice. That thing gives a voice. The only thing they do is just move their lips. They just move.
And that thing is sort of
gives a voice.
The vocal cords.
Exactly.
Okay.
So that's what we do.
You guys do cool things.
Yeah. It's not. I don't think you feel stupid when you're doing therapy and you're saying to a person, say this, say ba 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 ba, or say such things. Like with babies, you're trying to get them to at least be able to articulate better.
Yes.
Like they can't say, for example, say a sound like, say S. So instead of saying S, they would say F. Or instead of saying R, they'll say R. So you're trying to teach them
to say the R.
Say R, or put your tongue here and then say this. Put it like this. Or when you say B, somebody says Pa, or you say Pa and they say B. Like, it's not Pa.
It's B.
B. So you legit must not bring their hand like, listen.
Feel it here?
What you're saying is ba, ba. You see? Nothing. Now what you do, you need to say ba. And then they're like, so that's how it is.
Okay.
It's always fun though. It's always fun.
It sounds like fun.
And it's amazing.
It's not, I actually wanted to be a speech
No,
therapist.
please don't come.
No, I really did. It was one of my options when I was applying in matric. It really was. And then I don't know, I just didn't end. Let's leave the story because it doesn't have a happy ending. What's your favorite thing about speech therapy?
My favorite thing. I think my favorite thing would just have to be when you met a patient that, say for example, with the patients I've been seeing this year, you met a patient that had a stroke and they couldn't talk at all. The only thing it's either they would just say and then you do quite a lot of therapy. And then one day when you say this, or when you say repeat this, and they actually get to say that.
Oh wow.
I've recently just had such an experience with a patient who could not speak at all.
Oh wow.
And one day we had a session, he could legit like name 5 objects. He got so emotional.
And you were like, oh my gosh, that's me.
I was like, oh. It's always amazing. Or when you just, find somebody who says, I couldn't hear for so long. And now I could hear. I came to this place, I met this person.
And those are the things we take for granted. Like, we can talk. Like, we're talking like it happens all the time, but someone can't talk.
At all.
And then they say 5 words and they're just like, oh my gosh, it's me.
That's me again.
Oh my god.
That is me again. I think it teaches you to learn to control your emotions. Because like when you see a patient doing quite amazingly, it's quite an emotional moment.
Yeah, I can imagine.
But it's amazing.
Oh my
just
gosh.
seeing yourself being able to say, okay, you were here, now we're here.
Life changing.
Best.
Oh my. See. Then what is your least favorite thing about speech and hearing?
My least favorite thing. And that would be an interesting one.
Or you just love everything?
I think the way I love it so far, I just have some, so for example, areas that I'm like, not my best area. Like for example, with having to, the audio aspect where you have to like deal with kids. So the kids aspect of audio. Oh my lord.
Stressful.
Oh, it is so stressful. You can legit be in a session for like 2 to 4 hours.
Oh my gosh.
And still don't have anything. Because either the baby doesn't want to sleep or they're just moving around and you're trying so much.
The thing is, you can't control children.
You can't control
kids. But that's also the great thing with kids is when kids get better, you can actually see it because kids can't hide things.
That is so true. I think the entire field is challenging. Because you'd be taught one thing in varsity, and when you get to the hospital, you're like, what you taught me?
Y'all lied.
Not that they lied, it's just not very practical.
There's a difference.
There's a huge difference. They tell you, if you're dealing with a patient that has, say for example, apraxia, they tell you of it alone. When you come across a patient, they have this, and they have apraxia, aphasia, now you must manage all of that in
one patient. This is what they tell you. No patient is a textbook.
Exactly.
Because they come with 5 different things and you're like, okay, where do I start?
Exactly. That is the thing. I'm like, oh my god. But that's a good thing because varsity will teach you the basics. And you must take it to say, oh, I know this, let's bring it and make it. That's the fun together. That is the fun part.
Are there any opportunities to specialize or study further? Like if you want to specialize in a certain thing, like maybe in kids audiology, is that possible?
So what's mostly there is, it's mostly just you doing your undergrad and then moving towards masters. But there are some courses you could actually do. Like for example, I know, UP has what they call Center for Augmentative and Alternative Communication, so Center for AAC. They actually offer a few courses there, so you specialize in that area. So that's one area of specialty. You can also specialize in electrophysiology. So electrophysiology is like the most specialized aspect of audiology.
Okay.
So you have just basic audiology where patient comes in and you just tell them, okay, when you hear this, just press or just respond. And then Now with electrophys, it's quite more specialized. So you will need a bit more training. And there's some things like, for example, with as well as for you to be able to do what we call cochlear mapping, you actually have to qualify for that.
Okay.
So you must specialize. So that's an area of speciality.
So that you can specialize further and become like specific in an area. What is the selling factor? Like if I was in matric or I was in high school and you had to like convince me, tell me one thing that would be like, you know what, I'm leaving all these other things behind, I'm going there.
Well, the selling factor. I think the one thing that sold it for me, and in as much as I used to cry in positive, like, oh God, but each time I was like, you know what, the beauty of actually understanding how kids are born and they develop and how you get involved in that. Like seeing the development of somebody who was from one point where they couldn't say anything, they couldn't eat, and you get them to actually be able to eat.
Yeah.
It's not that you cured them that they had this disease. No offense to medicine, that they had like this
They were
disease.
going to drag us.
And the other thing is the joy you would get, and the joy you would get from what you do with the patient, what you do with the family. Because at times it's also going to be that thing of the family will come to you and like, dude, thank you so much. Like you've made such a great
difference. I'm about to ask about the money.
The money is quite comfortable.
It's
quite comfortable.
You don't have to tell us how. You know, the thing is, you can give us ranges. You can say, guys, I'm gonna give you 3 amounts. You decide which one.
Wow. The fun thing I'll tell you is that in concept you actually earn more than when you're in permanent. And so that's the beautiful thing about it. So you come serve here, you actually have more money.
You're living.
Then
so what you're telling me is that you're living.
You just gotta. So I think it ranges. I'm actually gonna give you like per annum. So per annum you can get somewhere around 300 to 15 to 350.
Oh wow.
Thousand. That's like when you level 1. So there are different levels to it. So there's what they call production level 1, production level 2, and production level 3.
And what determines the levels?
Years of experience.
Okay.
As well as how committed you are to your work. So for example, they say for you you're level 1, you can stay in level 1 for 10 years. But if you are quite motivated and you're actually going beyond what's required, you actually can get promoted to production level 2 before even the 10 years.
So someone can actually be their whole life in level 1, or because they just aren't committed, they're just doing it just because.
But unfortunately, it kind of gets demanding. It pushes you as well to move from one level to the next. Because you can't just always be in the same thing.
Doing the same thing over and over. Okay, so level 2?
Level 2, 350 and above. And I think level 3 takes you to about 400. Somebody.
This is my favorite conversation all the time.
The one thing I'll tell you, if you want the money, and as much as private has a whole lot of other things to consider, I'll say more so in audio. So in audiology, we have this perception that audiology usually make more money
than in speech.
You would in private practice because you'd be prescribing hearing aids and such things. So every hearing aid has an amount. So it's like you have hearing aids that can go to about 60,000.
Shucks, for one patient?
No, one hearing aid.
Oh wait, and you need to, like if they're deaf in both ears, you need...
So you could like be getting...
Wow.
No, but that's nothing. Now with a patient that needs a cochlear implant, now that thing on its own, alone, it's about 300,000.
Guys, I hope it's so expensive.
It is. And that's the thing. And that's where you actually, if you want the money and you want to enjoy the money, consider doing something on the side. Because let's be honest, government doesn't pay. No offense to government.
Thank you so much for joining me. This was absolutely fantastic. Guys, I brought you content. I've told you everything you need to know about speech and audiology. I don't know what else you guys want to hear that you don't know yet. Guys, if you have any questions, ask me or you can ask Tebogo straight. I'll put his social media handles all in the description box and let you guys know everything that you need to know about him. I'm sure he'll be willing to answer and help you. Please don't DM him weird things, ne? Just speech and audiology, like Speech and audiology
Like,
fella.
Beyond that, not gonna answer.
Thank
We're
you.
not responding. We're professionals. Hey?
Okay, so DM him or let me know and I'll ask him for you. Thank you guys so much for watching. You guys know that I love you. Also, if you haven't subscribed but you've watched till this point, what's your plan? What is your plan? Because you're not subscribing. Subscribe to my channel, like, share, go and follow him as well. Like, do everything. I love it. Do everything that you need to do. You guys can see he's telling you. Just go and do it. Until the next video, I love you guys so much. Send through any questions you guys feel like I'm not asking that you still want to know about certain careers, and I'll definitely ask the next people that are coming. Love you guys, and let me know what you think in the comment section. Bye guys.
Adios.